Icarus has come a long way through development and, well, the question is it good in 2025? Should you buy this game or not? Well, I'll make the decision easier for you by sharing all the important information about this game. Icarus has many DLCs, but I'll only be covering the base game, but do note that if your friends have the DLCs, you can join them without having the DLCs, but you can't craft any of the DLC items that it has to offer, for example decoration packs. Icarus also has weekly updates, so new content every week. Anyways, back on track. Once you open up the game, you'll have to make your character, pretty straightforward, but then you'll be met with creating a new world with three options: open world, missions, and outposts. Icarus is your typical open world game where you craft up tools and make your base and try to survive. Missions are time sensitive, so you only have limited time to go in and do the mission and extract. Completing these missions will give you exotics and/or Ren. These are the currencies of the game. I'll explain that later. Missions also make you not start with any items, as you can actually play with one character throughout other worlds. An outpost is for new players. You'll have to deal with fewer enemies, storms are more calm, so you can get a touch and feel for the game yourself, but do note that you get way less EXP this way. What's the point of the game? Well, for open world, you drop into the map via a dropship at different locations and start collecting resources. I recommend dropping in a non-snow or desert biome, so bottom right of the map for newer players, top left of the map if you want a challenge, as enemies will be higher level up there. You'll get points as you level up. You'll put these into the skill tree. Skills that vary from weight capacity, increase to more health, or stamina. You can put points into anything that you seem the best for your survival. You'll also get solo points regardless if you are playing multiplayer solo, but you'll only get the buffs if you actually play solo. You'll also get tech tree skill points, usually 4 at a time, to put into various things to unlock new weapons, building materials for bases, and armor. The list goes on here. There are 4 tiers and you'll need to be a certain level to unlock some of these. You can get experience by pretty much doing anything in this game, chopping down trees, foraging, and the best method is killing other animals. Now that you understand the base of the game, around level 10 you can start doing simple missions in your world by unlocking it in the skill tree. These missions vary from crafting items to growing crops or to kill enemies. Once you complete these, you will get Ren depending on the difficulty of the mission, and a small reward that varies from mission to mission, in a range from giving you weapons to some seeds to plants, etc. Ren is the currency of this game, like I mentioned before, and you have access to many unlocks that give you many buffs. You first have to unlock them with Ren, then craft them. Once you start a new mission or a new open world, you can craft them and bring them into your world by putting them into the dropship. Note that you can bring multiple items. Some of them will need to be crafted or unlocked with exotics. There are 3 main ways to get them. It's either to mine ore nodes, extract them with node miners, or doing missions. Well, now the question is, how do you actually survive? Once you load into the game, you'll have water, food, and oxygen meters. You can refill your oxygen meter with oxide. These are blue ore nodes scattered across the map that you'll have to mine. Food can be cooked on any campfire and they provide different buffs like more HP or stamina regen. Or you can actually eat vegetables or fruits. You'll unlock better foods later in the game. Water you can drink from rivers, but you have a chance of getting debuffs with this. You can place down a water catcher or water purifiers in the water to drink clean water. Storms are quite important in this game, as you can get storm exposure. This will deal damage to you and you can get a variety of debuffs with this. These can also break your bases, so you'll need to repair wooden bases with the repair hammer. Different building materials will aid you in your base not getting destroyed. Your base can also catch on fire. Just use a fire whacker to deal with this before it spreads too much. You'll have to take shelter to not get storm exposure, so inside your base or even a big enough rock if you mine into it. You'll encounter enemies that will be hostiles, like wolves, bears, and horses. Some of these can be killed quite easily if you have a spear or bow. Bears have the most HP and will usually kill you, so I recommend staying away from them. Wolves are easier to kill but still deal a considerable amount of damage, and they can be in packs, so avoid these. If you can't avoid enemies, I'd recommend crouching and shooting it with a bow in the head to deal a damage sneak multiplier. Different biomes also have different types of enemies. After you kill them, you can skin them with a knife and break their carcasses and get more bones like that. This will give you leather, fur, and food, and the list goes on. With these materials, build up a bed to set your respawn point so that if you do die, you don't have to run a greater distance to get your items. When you do die without a bed, within your drop zone you'll respawn in that location. You can always get revived by a teammate or spawn in on your bed with less debuffs. The map itself is quite big, and with some items respawning you won't have a hard time getting resources other than if you specifically need some resources from the desert or the snowy areas. You also won't run out of content for quite some time. There is also a bestiary you can fill out that gives access to lore and the background of the animals, buffs against enemies, and many more things. The only drawbacks of Icarus is you gain levels at a considerably slower pace than other games, and it can be quite boring trying to just level up. The map is also very big, and it can be time consuming to just go across from one point to the other in missions. Some enemies feel very overpowered for what they really are, but it makes it fun for some. There's also times where you'll get stuck or can bug through items, being a little of an annoyance, but you can always press the unstuck button in the main menu, and climbing hills that seem climbable for you to fall right back down it. One of the most important things that players will actually ask me is, does the game crash often, how are the graphics, and can it run on my PC? Well, Icarus has some great graphics, and you can see the recommendations on Steam if your PC will run it. Mid-tier PCs will still be able to run this game quite well. This game has a very few crashes and are only prevalent when playing in big groups of players. You can actually play with up to 7 other players. You can fine-tune many settings in this game to help your PC out. And I'm also not saying that the game crashes because you have a lot of players, there's just some smaller bugs that can happen with many players on your team. With all of this, I hope you can survive your first few days without dying, as well as I hope this helped you deciding on buying the game or not. Before I lose any new players out there, I won't cover much else as this is the basics of the game. If you want to watch a more in-depth guide, I'll be making one soon, so like and sub to not miss out on this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.